Now we've been through the trial and the verdict of Socrates, and Socrates is awaiting to be executed, or to execute himself, I guess, to drink the hemlock. And Plato writes another dialogue in which something kind of interesting happens. Because remember, one of the charges against Socrates is that he has been corrupting the youth. And I mentioned, in terms of corrupting the youth, what he really was doing was going around and asking the rich and the famous in Athens questions about what they were supposed to be experts in. For example, politicians who were governing the city, he'd ask them, what is justice? What is beauty? He'd ask people who were artists, what is beauty? Only to discover that they really couldn't answer their questions. They'd end up contradicting themselves. But the important thing that I'm trying to point out here is what made his offense even worse is that he had this group of young, wealthy cohorts hanging out with him, watching him make fun of the rich and famous. And now he's convicted of a crime, and along comes one of his friends, one of his young, wealthy friends, Crito, wealthy Athenian, friend of Socrates, and he's a little bit embarrassed because he comes up to him and says, I'm really embarrassed about what's gone on because we have money, or I have money, we have people who are able to bribe the jailers, and we have a place for you to go. You can leave Athens the same way Anaxagoras left Athens. So it sounds like a good deal. Think about it. You're arrested on a trumped-up drug charge, put in the Brooklyn House of Detention not too far from Kingsborough. And you're about to be, and you're put on trial, you're convicted. They're going to send you up the river and to serve a long jail sentence. In this case, his sentence was about as long as he get, death sentence. What are you going to do? It's a trumped up charge. There's no basis to your charge. And one of your very wealthy friends come over and said, look, we got a deal. We're able to bribe the jailers. We're going to be able to get you out of here. You're going to go live. You can't stay in the United States. You're going to have to go to the Bahamas. So you're going to live the rest of your life in the Bahamas with your family. What are you going to do? But remember, Socrates isn't you. He's not a weak-willed man, right? Because there is no weakness of the will. That's a bad pun. I think you guys are getting the idea. But what is he to do? Is he going to take up Crito on his offer? And what's interesting is during the dialogues, when he's asking, that is in the course of Plato's dialogues, when Socrates asks these questions, and people come and say, okay, Socrates, well, what is the answer? When he's talking about weakness of the will and Protagoras, well, what is the answer? What does make a virtuous action? He, at that point, oftentimes, Socrates says, that he really doesn't have any of this knowledge. That's why he's asking other people. However, in this particular case, we find that Socrates is in a slightly different position. First of all, now Socrates is going to claim that he has a very strong sense of what is right and wrong. That is, he refuses to go along with Crito's suggestions. Why? Because it would be wrong for him to violate the laws. It would be damaging the laws wrongfully. And it goes against one of his basic moral principles. What is it? That no one is ever morally permissible to do wrong to somebody, even in response to a wrong being done to him or herself. That is, we get Socrates to endorse a moral principle, an absolute moral principle, that you can never harm anyone under any circumstances. It is always wrong to harm someone, and he will not harm the laws of Athens.